Welcome to Sweet Knits part 2.5, 3? I don't know. Okay. I was going to join you back at after the 3 sections because I thought it looked confusing, and it turned out reading the pattern a little bit more closely, like I should have done in the first place. It was just slip your first stitch, knit so many, purl 1, knit so many, purl 1, knit so many. So, you know, we already covered knit and purl, so I just skipped that row. I went ahead and I started that next row, the really confusing one. And so we done that. So I already slipped my first stitch and I knitted so many. And now we are at the slip 2, knit 1, pass slip stitches over. All right. So, if you hear any talking, that's my lovely daughter, Jessie. She decides to get everything out of my cabinet and start to write on everything. But anyways, okay. So, first part of it, to slip 2 stitches together knitwise. So these 2 stitches right here, you are going to grab them like you're going to knit. You're going to knit them together, but instead of wrapping it around, we're not doing that. Don't write on my blanket, please. Oh. Okay. Anyways. Oops. Well, I guess it did it for me. By messing with my daughter, you just let the stitches fall onto the other needle instead of finishing the work. Okay, so that's the slips 2 stitches together. And then we're going to knit 1. So you knit the next one. Alright, and then after that, Jessie, can I have that? Thank you. Okay. Alright, so we already knitted that one. The next thing is to pass the slip stitches over and off the needle. So you grab those and throw them off. And that's it. Alright, and we're going to knit the rest of this row. Then the next row is slip stitch, knit so many, purl 1, and knit so many. So I will be back on the next slip stitch row to go through that one more time. No. Okay, so I knitted to the end of that row. Now you notice the end of that row isn't the end of the whole row. That's because there's going to be another hole like these right here, but you're not attaching a new thing of yarn. I don't think you are. Anyways, so we'll work this side, and then I think we'll bind off, cut the yarn, and then we'll work this other side. So a few more joining of yarn, but once you work your stitches, you just turn your work. Okay. So this is that other row that I was telling you. I was going to skip the still slipping the first stitch as if to purl, and then knit so many, purl 1, knit so many. Alright, so now I will skip this part of the video and I will be back for the slip stitch. Okay, back for the slip stitch. This time I'm, ignoring my daughter. Alright, so you grab your next 2 stitches as if to knit them 2 together, and you just slide them off. And then we knit 1 And then we grab those 2 stitches again. And throw them off. Making sure I didn't split that yarn. Okay, we're good. Alright. And then knit the rest of the row. Alright. So I will be back in a few more rows. We're going to do it. I think I will show the, you know, the slip 2s and knit 1 and pass over a few more times. So I'll stop announcing that I'm pausing it and just show up and do the stitch and disappear, and show up and do the stitch and disappear. Alright, but I'll be back. Alright, next 2 stitches you're going to grab from the bottom front to the back top. Alright, and you're just going to slide them off. You're going to knit the next stitch. And you're going to grab those 2 that you had slipped. And carefully, you're going to throw them off. Alright. Back here with the bind off, we did all our rows. This is what it's going to look like so far. Alright, so to bind off, instead of slipping this stitch, I'm going to knit it. You're going to try and do this row a little looser than the rest of the pattern. So if you need to go up or to a size in your needles, go ahead and do it if it helps you out to do it loosely. But I know I was talking instead of explaining that. Alright, so you have 1 stitch on there. You'll knit this next one. And then you'll grab that first one and slide it over. Throw them off. Knit the next one. Grab that first stitch. Throw them off. And you'll do that all the way across. My daughter has one of those color mess free markers, so I'm not worried about her. If you by chance saw anything on her face, that's from her dry erase markers that she got a hold of first. Okay. And since we're only doing, you know, so many of these, I'm just showing the whole video. Ow. Sorry. That shaking was my daughter jumping on me. Alright. And so you have 2 stitches on your hook. Grab the first one and throw them off. So then you only have 1. And as you're going, stretch that along there. You gotta have some give. Knit and throw that first one off. Knit and throw them off. Knit and throw them off. Okay. Almost done with this row. Well, this section. I guess this part of the video, instead of working in 3 sections, you're only working in 2. And it's a lot, you know, less confusing, but Okay. Now the hardest part of this bind off is to get that stitch off. Okay. Okay, with one stitch left, you're going to cut a long tail. Or a short one if you have a short yarn needle. Alright. Stretch that out just a bit. I think this part is a lot easier with the crochet hook. But you're just going to wrap your yarn around. You got that stitch pulled tight. And you pull the stitch. Pull it through. So you have section 1 of the dog sweater. Let's move it that way so you can see it with my camera. There we go. Alright, so we got this half done. So you're going to take your yarn, and just like we did when we were doing the sections, you're going to finish this section of it. You're going to add the yarn here, and you're going to just keep going back and forth just like you did with this one. So, and you'll have that nice little slant, I guess you can say. So just this part of the pattern is on page 4. So that's where you're going to start after you bind off that end. So go ahead and do all that, and I will meet back with you to finish it completely off. Do the chain for the button, sewing on the button, and sewing it together. So make sure you have, when we join back, make sure you have your crochet hook, your G hook. You want a button of your choice, whatever size it is, whatever size you need, and your yarn needle, and a pair of scissors. Now I have been cutting my stitches, or my yarn, as I go. I didn't realize I was that close to the edge on that stitch. But I've been cutting as I go, so I don't have to weave in anything. Since you do it, I do it as I go, at least on projects like this. But we are almost done. Yay! I will be back. Okay, so I started on the second section, and I got to the last 3 rows is supposed to be slip, purl, slip, knit, slip, purl, and then you bind off. But on this part, you do your purl row first, that first row, and your second one you're going to stop, and your yarn is on the inside. You will put your that first stitch right there that actually just fell off my needle, you're going to put it on your crochet hook. And this is where your crochet hook comes into play. I would go ahead and move all your stitches away from the edge for right now, because you're not using them just right now. So you're gonna want your button nearby, and since I can't find mine, but I know it's the same size as this one, I'm gonna use this as an example. So you'll just crochet however many chains to go over your button. So to crochet, in case, you know, beginner, not really crochet person. All right, you got your yarn on there, okay? Grab your yarn and maybe pull through. That's 1. Grab it, pull through, and that's 2. Grab it and pull through, and you got 3 right there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on. Come on. 9, 10. Making sure that's right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Okay, I got 10 chains right there. So I am going to stick this right here and pretend that that's sewn in there. We'll just actually set my sample on top of the work that I'm doing right now, just because I can't find the button. But what we'll do is slide that chain around it and go all the way over here. And now that looks big enough, but I think it's actually a little bit too big. Hold on. Should actually do this number. Hold your... Okay. Hold them together, just like that. Where's my button? And we're gonna slide. Try to go back. Okay, so 10 stitches is enough. So what you do, move all that back. It doesn't matter if this part is twisted or not, it's going to be hidden. And you just slide that carefully, slide that last stitch back on your needle and continue with the rest of the row like you never did anything. I will be back. Okay, we're back to the bind off row again. There's my chain. So we knit the first stitch, we knit the second stitch, and we grab that first stitch that we knit and throw them off. Knit the second, or the next, grab that first, throw them off. Knit, and throw them off. Alright, I will be back. I'm skipping the sleeves part of this pattern because I covered that in my other video, the candy corn dog sweater. So you can refer to that to pick up your sleeves. I will be back to sew it together, and that will be the last part of this video. Thank you for putting up with me so far. Alright, time for the real fun. Jessie, shh. Alright, so this is the front. Alright, the outside of it. I already put my last stitch on. I kept it live because I want to use that for this. Now, it does say to bind off and then you'll sew everything together after you weave in ends. Well, we're going to cheat, or I'm going to cheat. If you have another way to weave, not to weave in your ends, of course you do, but to sew it together, the side, then go ahead and do it if you're more comfortable with it. But what I like to do is the crochet. So, I think it's a lot stronger, and you want to fold it inside out. So this is the outside that we're seeing. And that way, it'll come up to where it's more invisible until you to look in. And it does have a little rib, but it's a lot stronger. Alright. So this whole part is to match up stitches. Your live stitch is on the top, and then you're going to go in and get that first stitch in there, wherever your hook goes in actually. Pull through, and that's it. And I don't know, it's usually a lot easier than this, but I'm usually not even looking through a camera either. So, okay. We'll get through it. So, poke it want to, sorry, you want to try and get every row there. Okay, that's not going to work. Hold on. Let's do it from this side. My daughter's trying to hand me some mints. No, honey, you already have one. Okay. Jessie. Okay, let's try that again. I went ahead and I cut the yarn. What I'm doing right now is just taking that tail and moving it to that side. So it's attached right there. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. In this stitch, I'm going to grab that tail and attach it. So it's already attached at the top and bottom. Alright. And you take your yarn that you just cut. And we're gonna go to the bottom from this one. Oops, sorry. So you just go wherever your hook takes you. It usually knows where it wants to go. So, okay, it's in there, that first stitch. Leaving a long tail. Come on. Oh, and you'll fold that over there so it weaves in there. Alright. Chain. And then go back into that stitch, or if you can't get that exact stitch, at least close to it, and make sure you're better than me and have both sides. You kind of need both sides for this to work. But, okay. Alright. And then, that's single crochet. Okay. So then you go to find your next row. And they should line up. Alright. And, okay. One more time. You'll just push your hook through, make sure you have both sides. Got both sides on there. You lay that yarn across there so it gets weaved in. And you'll pull through there. Wrap your yarn and pull through both. And that's the single crochet. You'll do that all the way to the end. Cut it, weave in all your yarn. And then you'll sew on your button right here. As close as you can. I would suggest that you put your button, lay your button on it, and then, you know, pretty much like hook it to see how far your button can go over and exactly where it needs to be to have it completely line up, and you are done. Please, if you have any questions other than how my 2-year-old is safe with scissors, please feel free to find me on Facebook at Sweet Knits, or Sweet Knits Groupie, or even search Amanda Sanderson, and I will be happy to help. Yeah, there's many ways to get a hold of me, so, and it's all on Google. Just Google me and you'll find it, I'm sure. But if you have any questions about this pattern, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You can finish the rest of it. Yeah, I think I'm done talking for the day. Thank you so much for watching Sweet Knits, helping with the cute dog sweater by Christina. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next tutorial.